event preview now. So what we got coming in this event, new soul breaks, not going to get into that here. We have a new ability, however, it's really bad. It's a shooter 4 ability that does single target water elemental damage. It's basically a one-hit version of Sapphire Shot, which is shooter 5. And while it does make mention that this whole ability school just needs to stop existing, at this point in the Japanese existence, it did. It was awful and really, really bad. But however, Sharpshooter definitely gets better because it gets buffs. A lot more people get access to it, and they give a lot more abilities. It turns into like a ranged Spellblade school, and it's actually quite good. However, this ability, buffs or not, is absolutely awful, and I think just about everybody will be better off by just shattering it immediately. Returning dress records, that's cool for people that don't have them yet. I believe we already have the limit chain increased duration balance change. Global usually gets their balance changes before Japan did in their life cycle. And an interesting note for the Final Fantasy X event is it is the monthly new release of Memory Crystal 3s. And that means 1 per realm. We got Emperor, Edward, Palom, Porum. Not only 1 per realm. Shadow, Cyan, Kefka, Sid from Final Fantasy VII, Reno, Vincent. Wow, that's 3 from Final Fantasy VII. Laguna, Fusion, Raijin, 3 from Final Fantasy VIII. Can definitely vouch that there is a certain dirge. Very much waiting for the Fusion MC3 to be released. Steiner, Freya, Kamari, Payne, Larsa, Saz, and Noel. Not that great of a list. Palom and Porum do get good bursts soon, but they don't have them yet. Sid does have a nice burst, but he's a hard character to use because of his equipment. Vincent, as we saw with the Black Mage tier listing, is going to be awesome, but that is a event in the distant future for when he becomes that. Fusion is really, really valuable MC3. Been waiting for that for a while. And Larsa, for whoever got his Burst Soul Break on the second Final Fantasy XII banner that we just had. Those would probably be the highest value MC3s available here. And as Lemonade Sparkle says, like anyone cares about Noel, nobody does. Nobody does. Sorry, Noel. That's just the way it is. That is all for the event proper, so let's move on to the actual banners themselves. On first banner, we have our second CSB. It's the Titus's Crystal Sword. It is a water limit chain. 11 single target. Most of the limit chains have high attack counts because each single hit in the soul break counts towards the limit chain. This one seems pretty boring. We have a 6-star sword, but it's Realm Synergy water only up. Unlike his awesome OSB, which gives water up in all realms, this one does not have that benefit, and there is nothing cool about his limit chain. You know what? This is probably incorrect, because I know CSBs got buffed, so I'm going to go take a look at how it got buffed, because it wouldn't be listed here. So we got Titus, Fleeting Dream. Wow. Okay, yeah. Also grants Quick Cast 2 to all allies. That was its buff, and that will be active immediately. We will get that buff immediately. So don't worry about this incarnation of it. It is this plus Quick Cast for everybody. So it's a little better. However, I'm not personally a big fan of the limit chains. I think it's tough. I mean, they're fine. They're fine. I would value a Imperil water like Riku's BSB. over limit the water limit chain as far as like stacking your elemental damage of a type. But the limit chain is the next evolution if you've got your imperil taken care of and you just want to win more on that element. Hold on one moment. Okay, we're set to go. So it's okay. Not really, something to chase, though. Yuna's USB is probably the best relic on the banner. Medica H85, this is Kiraga level. Not instacast like a lot of healer USBs are. Party Raise, and also adds Last Stand and Haste. I believe how this works is it raises and then applies the Medica. Or no, it doesn't apply the Medica. It's a 40% raise. And then applies Haste and Last Stand. Which is what makes it one of the first viable forms of raise in the game. Because usually it's tough to time things sometimes. Unless you're using a lot of instacast abilities. Where you raise somebody and then they just die immediately. Because they suck down what would otherwise be a weak attack. But it just kills them because they have no buffs. However, in this case, they get raised, and then they get haste and last stand applied to them. So it allows you to actually, effectively raise somebody, and without them having a chance of dying immediately. This is an okay USB. I like it because it's a little unique. A lot of USBs don't have this. I don't think we get a USB that does a Cure Raise ability like this until Deuce on the Type 0 event, which is still many months away. So I think it's probably a really nice multiplayer USB, because that is a place you're going to be relying on Raise sometimes. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's not one of the better USBs, but it's still good. It's got a use, it has a niche, and it does stuff that the others can't. Uron's BSB2, which is much appreciated because his first BSB is really just really bad, is End Fire and AoE, Fire non-elemental burst mode. Check out the burst commands. We have 4 times single target. Alright, sure, that's kind of plain, especially on a burst soul break coming out in today's meta. And the second is 2 single target and gives... that is a Dark Bargain buff. Well, I thought this was better because a lot of people have at least something going for them on the first command besides just I do damage. And on the second command they have the 2 times AoE instead of the 2 times single target. So that leaves Oron, I guess, I mean, if you like Oron, and I don't blame you if you do, he's probably the best character in Final Fantasy X. He does have an ability synergy that works with this, where you could get AoE out of him. However, it's only single hit, and that's Fire Blossom, the 4-star samurai ability, which is AoE single strike fire, and would synergize with his End Fire on the burst. We definitely would have preferred that this was 2 times AoE instead of 2 times single target. So, has some flaws that shouldn't be in modern bursts, unfortunately. Lulus BSB comes back from the last event. The best part about this BSB is the fact that it's ice armor, and as of this banner, is still the only magical ice armor available. It's a light armor, 17 magic, and then equal defense and resistance. While the other ice armor in the game is Snow's BSB, but is also light armor, but attack instead of magic. So this is the only magical ice armor. We do get more of them in the future, and one that sticks out to me is Renoa's. I believe it's her Legend Materia Relic, which shows up on a really phenomenal banner in the next Final Fantasy VIII event. So I'd only be looking for this if it was on a great banner, and then I could say, okay, I don't mind getting Lulus BSB because it has that relic. But since this banner so far isn't really all that hot, you would hope that this Burst Soul Break could help carry the banner, but it can't. It's one of the worst Black Mage Soul Breaks, Burst Soul Breaks in the game. Ouch. That sucks. Anyway, next we have Lulu's Magician Mog. This is one of her doll things, which automatically stinks because Lulu and Tyro are the only people in the game that can use them. 4 times AoE and ice. She doesn't really have anything that synergizes that well with this. Her BSB does do ice damage, but this wouldn't add so much damage that it would make them worth using together. And it's a terrible relic. So this is basically a blank Super Soul Break. Next we have the best... Oh, never mind. This is Thief Costume. Light Armor. I think this is new. Party Attack Magic 30%. Okay, now we're on to something. At least this has strong Sid mission potential. And Self-Instacast too. Which, because of Riku's vast ability pool, this is actually a pretty cool Super Soul Break. I like this. Helpful in Sid missions, probably not elsewhere, but it helps round Riku out as a character. The unfortunate thing here is when you see complimentary soul breaks like this, you want them to be on a banner that is at least featuring the character. This banner has nothing else for Riku on it, so another discordant piece on the banner. A good soul break, but it's good if you have all the other pieces for Riku that make her a good character, which will be her burst, her Master Thief, and eventually her USB. However, with none of those here, it's just weird. Anyway, Pain Water or Warrior Gloves. This is a pretty decent, just straight up damage Super Soul Break. 6 times single target water, gives them water, so subsequent casts do a ton of damage. Plus, Pain being a Spellblade 5 has access to a nice source of water, and eventually she gets access to Sharpshooter 5 too. I'm gonna verify that. I don't know that for sure, and I don't want to get people's hopes up about that. So we're gonna go take a look. Yeah, since Pain can be a gunner in Final Fantasy X2, they decide to make her a part of the Sharpshooter buff, and she does get access to Sharpshooter 5, which adds a little more, I don't know, value to the fact that she can end water with this, because that also gives her access to Hydro Burst, the 4-star water Sharpshooter ability. So, as people saw in the U++ that I did tonight, Yuffie using Hydro Burst is actually a fair source of water damage and AoE. So, I mean, I'm not going to say that this is a good thing, it's just, this is an okay Super Soul Break, where the Lulu one just is not. It's just a dead draw. Grand Summoner Robe, wow, this has been around. It's spread itself for the world. But it's a good Super Soul Break, and it's a good relic, so that's okay. It's one of those ones that you don't mind getting dupes on, because having an 8-star of this is a really nice relic to pass around to anyone that's able to do holy damage, whether it be through magic or mind. Yeah, I mean, this is well documented. We know how good it is. It's just the ideal Faith Goat if you've already got a haste in the party. Pavel's Staff, this one's old. I guess that makes sense. I mean, it's at the bottom, right? Small fire damage up, is that true? Yeah, I think it is. Well, that's an interesting addition. However, if this were on, I mean, soul breaks like this have a lot less value to them. Unless you're someone like Terra with Wrath potential. when it's on a mage. So like the one for Pain is good because she can life siphon up to it, and that'll enable her kit elsewhere. This one is just, it's tough to say that it's justified for a use of Vraska's Soul Break. However, being a fire staff, that's pretty neat. So as a relic, it's kind of cool. So overall, this is actually a not bad Super Soul Break section, as all 4 of these weren't bad. However, when your upper section is as bad as this, unfortunately, it makes it dilutes the banner, and I don't know. I couldn't recommend a pull on it. The next Final Fantasy X event is probably going to be much more up people's alley if they're looking to round out their Final Fantasy X synergy. This is probably not the place to get it. Well, I mean, unless Banner 2 is good. We'll see. So, Banner 2, we have Jex OSB. This was on the last event, wasn't it? Even if it isn't. It's a Blitzball, for one, with Realm Synergy Small Dark up. Already don't like the relic. OSB yeah, this has been out. I mean, why are they re-releasing on top of the banner? It's kind of lame. Anyway, Overflow, Darkfire, Range Physical, multiplier scales with Soul Break, gauge, charge count on cast. As far as OSBs go, it stinks. Moving on, we have Pain's BSB, 9, small water damage up. That's neat on an armor, though that is coming more common now, so it's not as valuable as it once was. Her BSB, Grandstorm, Water, Earth, Wind. Oh, it's going to be one of those, is it? AoE Dispel, though, that's kind of neat. That'll have use just in really niche situations. Multiplier scales with number of Spellblade abilities used in burst mode. Let's check out the burst mode. 4 times water, wind, 4 times water, earth. Okay. Yeah, it is going to be one of those, and yeah. I'm unimpressed. I like the AoE Dispel, but everything else about it, it just screams mediocrity. It's another one of those things that I can do a bunch of things, but I do them all at a very low or, average level. It's like one of those things, like when you have no soul breaks and you're beginning out the game, you like having it because it fulfills a lot of roles, but if you played the game for a couple months, you start to realize that, oh, there's a lot of things that can do the stuff that this does just better, and they're not even that difficult to have. So moving on, we have Kimahri's Burst Soul Break. Okay. 6 times AoE, Water, Non-Elemental, and Pearl Water. Okay, I like it so far, which is interesting considering it's Kimahri. What's he got going? 2 more single target commands. Heal ally for % of max HP. Okay. And Water Self-Smart Ether. This seems like a pretty good burst. I like the commands. Smart Ether is always a cool thing to have. Kimahri is a Life Siphon enabled support. He's not even a support. He's just a Life Siphon enabled combat. Support 4-ish weirdo character. I like it. I probably would prefer Riku's BSB for my source of Imperial Water. Just because Riku is such an all-around good character. But this is actually a decent burst. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Moving on, we have Titus, Razmataz. This is ancient. This is over a year old, isn't it? No, this came out in the summer festival of last year, so it's approaching a year old. Still, this is still pretty ancient. This is the average an element burst, where it does damage entry of an element, and the commands are 4 times single target and 2 times AoE, with no addition. I guess it's fine for Titus if you've got his other things. I don't know. It's fine. It's fine, especially with the Magicite dungeons being released eventually, it's a strong water burst regardless. So it's okay. At least it helps out if you're looking for water stuff. Moving on, we have Jex model, dark damage up, light armor, single target, dark non-elemental physical, party attack 50%. This seems old. Yeah, I think this was in the last event. I don't know, party attack 50% is always a neat little stat to have for Sid missions. Beyond that, not terribly useful. Force Knuckles for Riku, this is her Master Thief. This is another really good Super Soul Break in Riku's arsenal. 6 times single target physical, enemy attack and resistance minus 50%. It's a really rare debuff and adds a really rare buff to her at the same time with the attack and resistance plus 30%. So it obviously synergizes best with the mage team, which is okay with Riku because she has the ability to self-buff herself, not only with the Super Soul Break, but the fact that she's a thief at the same time. So you can steal power. So this is actually an excellent Super Soul Break on an excellent character. So I like to see this in the bottom half of the banner. Kamari's Fang of Gag is actually a good Super Soul Break. It doesn't have the same amount of attacks as the original, which was Beatrix's Ragnarok. I think hers does 7 single target physical and does party magic blink, but Kamari's is actually, I mean, it's not like you're going to be cleared 50,000 damage with this anyway, so whatever. Actually a really good Super Soul Break. Yuna's Medica, actually a really good Super Soul Break. And Sin's Fang, Ultimate Check Shot, semi-single target, party critical 25%. Oh god, this guy is old too. It's okay. With party critical 50%, these won't stack by the way. Crit fixers will override each other. So you cast this and you already use Lulus BSB, which gives critical 50%. This would overwrite that. So this is kind of blah, but it's not bad, I guess, if you've got Jack's other things, which is his totally plaino Dark Burst Soul Break and his OSB. Unfortunately, his BSB, which is, despite being plain, is very much better than his OSB, is not on this banner, so I can't really say that this has great synergy with the banner. We're looking at a good set of 3 Super Soul Breaks here, and 2 good bursts. Again, not that strong of a banner. I think overall, since Kamari is not as good of a character overall as, say, Tidus and Yuna and Oron, the first banner is probably better. It had more Super Soul Breaks that I liked, and a more, I don't know, valuable high end because they were on for better characters. So there you go. Alright.